that you have contact with, these are the same individuals that on the Facebook platform and other platform who's promote the WIA administration. 18K, you say 18K is, you want to compare 18K to the 125K that you supposedly said that Ellen sent to people in the diaspora to support the government during on the platform, different platforms, things of that nature. But you don't have any evidence. You say you just showed me a package there, whether what that package made. We don't know what's in that package. And then secondly, too, you said that 18K is not enough money, but this is what was accepted by people like you and your colleagues. All right, you accepted that money. Maybe that money was just a tease. Maybe there was a little kind of work, or maybe the money was just a thank you money for what you're doing for the government. It was not actually a pay, a stipend, you know. So it was some sort of gratitude money. So the fact of the matter, you guys in the diaspora on this social media accepted this money, 18K, whether it's 2 cents or 5 cents, that is bad. That is money that should be spent in Liberia, you know. So don't sell yourself this cheap, Mr. Gayman. You supporting this government is good. You promote the government through On Point and other social media, but for you to get some sort of thank you, you know, funds, 18K, and you try to belittle that fund that is nothing, is an insult, it's a joke, then you are definitely being an insult because you accepted the money. So for you to come on this show on point and be off point because you are suppressing the information, it's too bad. I'm kind of ashamed for you, Mr. Gayman. I'm kind of
Mr. Doe. The reason why most of you don't have any credibility is you write and you talk, you say you have some numbers background, you are somebody who deal in facts, deal in numbers. I would have expected, but now, after this news came out weeks ago, you have been out here with your numbers, you have been out here with your return checks, you have been down here with the account information, because you are very good in digging deeper. You are very good at unearthing information. For you to come on this website, On Point, to pretend that something happens, you are indicting me, and you are saying that I should defend myself with no evidence. You are saying the evidence is there, you are suppressing it. I did not bring the indictment. When you say you are a killer, if you accuse a defendant of either murdering or theft, you have to have your evidence ready to say, this is what happened, this is when it happened, this is how it happened, these are the evidence that we have, and based on that, we want this person put away. But you came here, you say the information is being suppressed. You're saying that you heard it from the grapevine. Why it makes for a good conversation, it is not worth it of our time. And I wouldn't even call the name On Point of All Point on such a matter, because you and I know, and people in the audience, they know that you are actually having fun. This is Christmas, you have your Santa hat on, and you're having a great time. And it's a good thing for you to come out here looking good and having a good time. But let's go to the real show. The real show here is next time, and this goes for everybody. Whether you like me or you don't like me, you like Brother Doe, you don't like Brother Doe. If you're gonna say something, if you're gonna accuse him, please come with some evidence. This is why we are in this kind of democracy. We need evidence. If you say, I made my payment, the American man say, where is your receipt? Please bring your receipt. Without a receipt, you cannot prove you purchased anything. You cannot bring it for a return. You cannot exchange it. Without receipt, without hard evidence, you got no case. So, brother, I won't say on point, but it doesn't exist.
Mr. Gayman, if this is not true, your CDC partisans are making noise. They're cracking noise about this 18K. Your own partisans, CDCians, they are making noise about it. So there's evidence there. You are one of those who are suppressing the evidence. You may have bank transactions, and others may have that. You know, I'm asking you, if you have that information, please provide that information. But you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Before we even came on the show, I asked you for the evidence. And yesterday, you cannot produce those evidence because you're going to suppress it. You're not going to show those evidence. And we know other people have the evidence. They are die seditions, especially those people that go around every media platform to promote this government, to defend this government, have gotten paid. They have gotten that thank you 18K. And you are one of those point men who got the money. Perhaps you got your cut, or maybe you were the point man who distributed the money. So you know the chain whatsoever, who all the money went to and things of that nature. But since, you say it is not worth it talking about, it is not me talking about it. It is your own seditions who are making noise about this 18K. So are they wrong about making that such a noise?
Mr. Doe, it is good for you to, I like when you see what I like about you is that you speak perfect English. You are using the word perhaps, and that's a good thing. When you use perhaps, the listening audience out there understands that you don't have any evidence. Just like you guys were saying that McGill died 3 days ago, and he was taken to he had a stroke, massive stroke, and he was taken to Ghana where he died, and it went around like wildfire, and it turned out that it was just a joke. It was a blatant lie. So you guys come out here and say these things. Hopefully, it will gather some public attention and for viewing. But unfortunately, Mr. McGill is alive and walking. Same thing, we are proving that the lies that somebody stole 18,000 or sent 18,000, they have no proof, and they are out there trying to accuse me and telling me to produce the evidence. I've never seen that before. I never go to a court where the prosecutor asks the defendant to produce proof. I never heard that, but in the wacky words of the opposition, anything is possible. So let's move on to the next point here. Let's move on to the election.
All right.
I know you're going to lie. I know you're going to duck. You're going to jive, and you're going to say you are not a member of the opposition. But I can see your smile. You won't admit that you are a supporter of Darius Dillon. You won't admit that you are a supporter of CPP. You won't admit that you are a supporter of or were a supporter of Mr. Cummings. But here you are. So this is where you want to be. You are in a position that hopefully now you can come out of your closet and defend. You just came from an election where our Liberians have spoken. What did you hear that the Liberian people said?
Well, what I heard from the election result speaks for itself. And those are the voice of the Liberian people. The CPP won about six location senatorial seats. Okay, that is indeed a huge number. The CPP, now CDC won about three or four. Okay, and the ruling party just didn't show up. The people spoke that they don't want the seditions to govern them anymore. So they are getting rid of the CDC people. Now, the results. Let's look at the result in detail. All right. In Bapolo, CDC was defeated. Okay. CDC was defeated in Bapolo. K. Boto won that seat. Okay, you got that? Samuel Kai won the seat also for CPP. And Taylor, I can't say the name, Buema Taylor, a CPP candidate won also. And then you go on, DeLong won massively, landslide in Montserrat County. That's about 3 already, I've counted for CPP. Then in Grand Bassa County, Ynomble won, that's a CPP, that's 4 right there. Then in Bon County, Moyi, CPP, won also, that's 5. Then in River G, River says, Subway won. That's a CPP also. All right. So CDC, where do you guys win? You won Sign Up. You won Grand Jita, and I believe NIMBA. You know, those are the 3 seats you won. So are you telling me?
What's about Maryland?
Maryland.
What's about Maryland?
Maryland. Okay, I forgot. I missed Maryland. 4 seats. Are you telling me, Mr. Gaiman, that CDC performed very well in this election? Let me tell you another thing. The independent won about 3 or 4 seats, which is equivalent to what CDC won. So majority of the seats that was available during the election, CPP won that. So are you telling me that the leadership of CPP didn't do well? They did well. Now, let's go to Mr. Cummings. Maybe CPP doesn't want to come out and praise Mr. Cummings for his leadership. I think Mr. Cummings provided good leadership for CPP to demonstrate or perform this way they perform. That was an excellent leadership that came from the head of the CPP party, Mr. Cummings. So I must admit he did a great job on that.
Mr. Doe, let me educate you a little bit on Liberian politics. CPP is not a political party. So I want you to get this clear. There is no seat that was won by CPP.
Let me correct you. Let me correct you. Wait, let me correct you. On the NEC website, they have their results in the name of CPP. No other nomenclature.
No, there is. No.
I'm going by the result on the NEC site.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. Let us be factual here, and I'm going to show you the electoral results. Okay. There is no political party in the Republic of Liberia. Listen to this. There is no political party in the Republic of Liberia called CPP. None.
I didn't say that's a political party. I'm giving you the result that is as listed on next side. NEC is calling them CPP. Who won what with their names?
Let me give you the education, sir. Since you belong to the opposition, you guys don't believe in facts. You don't believe in numbers. You don't believe in reality. You just make up for it. Go now. Let me go to this. Let me give you some insight. Okay. It says here, A.B. Darius Dillon, Liberty Party, Montserrat. Nyonli Kangat Lawrence, Liberty Party, Bassa. Jonathan L. Cape, Liberty Party, Bassa. J. Milton T.J., Unity Party, Sino. Simeon B. Taylor, ANC, Cape Mount. Vanny Sherman, UP, Cape Mount.
Mr. Dillon, Mr. Gaiman, I got to interrupt you.
Let me finish here.
Go to the tally. Go to the NEC tally.
No, excuse me, sir. I'm giving you the result from the Elections Commission. There is no political party in Liberia called CPP. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Okay. So we said Milton T.J., UP, Sino. Simeon B. Taylor, ANC, Cape Mount. Vanny Sherman, Cape Mount, UP. Prince K. Moy, UP, Bong. Dr. Henry Tokpa, UP, Bong. Steve Zago, Liberty Party, Lofa. Bernie Samukai, Unity Party, Lofa. Morris G. Satoma, Unity Party, Bombing. Daniel F. Nati, ANC, Bapolu. Jonathan B. Segbe, ANC, River G. 14, Community B. Wisa, Unity Party, River G. So where on here you are saying there's something called CPP. CPP is only a memorandum of understanding. It is not a political party. So I want you to get that.
I didn't say CPP was a political party. If you go on the tally on NEC and website, the tally, all right? They didn't list them as the individual party they are from. They listed them from the coalition. If, for instance, let me give you an example right here. Luffa County, okay, the tally sheet for Luffa County, all right? They say Achelas Chamba Daba ran as an independent. Dukale Ibrahim M ran as an RA. I don't know what the RA means. Maybe it's a political party. Fofana Moremana Bayan ran as an Alcorp. Jala Joseph Patu ran as an independent. Kamara Mohammed ran as an independent. Mola Gordon Numa ran as LRP. And Nibi Johnny ran as LINU. Then Simon Brian Jeffrey, who won Luffa County, won on, it says, ran as a CPP. Look at it right here. I'm looking at the website. I'm looking at the tally. The tally. I'm going by the tally. I'm going by the tally. I'm not going by the individual. I'm not going by the sheet. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Mr. Doe.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Mr. Doe, the tally sheet is not.
I'm looking at the direct result. In fact, the list that CDC as CDC, they didn't. The CDC should be a coalition, but the list that CDC as a CDC on the tally sheet. So what are you talking about here? You are arguing something that makes no sense. You're off point. I'm going by the tally sheet. I'm going by that. Are you telling me neck tally sheet got the people listed wrongly?
Mr. Doe.
Then we are not
looking at we are not talking about tally sheet.
But I'm giving you the result for the tally sheet. I'm giving you the result.
The composition of the, I'm giving you the composition of the
where particular party this individual came from, like DeLong, we know he's a member of the Liberty Party, but joined the CPP, great. You know, whatsoever. But I'm giving you the tally sheet as to the group, the group that in that coalition they formed. So I'm telling you that. So
Mr. Doe,
I'm not going by Liberty DeLong is from Liberty Party, Liberty Party won. No, they're not going by that.
Mr. Doe, a point of correction. In the Senate and in the lower house, there is no such thing called CPP. In the Liberian law, there is no such thing as CPP. What I'm telling you here, they represent different political parties.
But that's not collaboration. That is not my argument. I will list what is on the website of NEC, the tally sheet on the website, the way they listed it. I'm going by that. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question. You mentioned Milton TJ in the names you're calling.
Yes.
Did Milton TJ contest in this election?
I'm telling you the composition of
no. Answer my question, yes or no.
No.
So then why did you have to mention his name?
I am telling you the present composition of the Senate.
Are you trying to make a point that Milton TJ contested? We're talking about election results. We're talking about candidates that contested.
I understand this. What I'm telling you.
No, you don't understand me. You see,
because when you are saying that
who is a member of a party, you bring in somebody who's a member of a party. Please don't talk to me.
CPP did not win one seat in the Liberian.
Say that to NEC. Say that to NEC. I'm going by NEC tally.
NEC never, CPP never won one seat because there's no such thing as legally there is no such thing in the Liberian legislature.
NEC is saying on the tally sheet, CPP, and Samakai came from CPP and won Luffa County. NEC is saying on the tally sheet that DeLong is a part of CPP, won Maserati County. So take the argument to NEC.
Mr. Doe.
This is we were debating irrelevant thing here right now. So let's move on to something else.
Okay, I agree. Let's move on to the results. Now that we have the opposition, I told you this from the beginning of our show, several months ago, that all this myth about the power of the CDC and the failure of the CDC was a myth, because I told you from the very beginning that CDC had only 4 seats in the Senate. In the Senate of 30 seats, we have only 4 seats. The opposition had 26 seats. So why is it that you are saying the president has failed legislatively when you set the agenda? You are running the show. as an opposition. So tell me this, let me bring you back on point, okay? Where have you been all along when we began with 4 seats? Actually, we now have 6 seats. So we pick up 2 extra seats. Tell me, you had 24 seats. You are the more dominant party in the country. How can you have not been able to move just legislation and change the direction of this country? But instead, you're saying the president. Tell me, let me bring you back on point.
Well, Mr. Kamen, that's one thing I like about you. Sometimes when you talk way off point. First and foremost, we don't have a majority in the Senate. You know, we don't have a two-party system whereby we have a majority. So when you talk about opposition in the majority, I don't know what you're talking about. The fact of the matter, we have a splinter of oppositions, different people, independents, and different other parties. You know, that is part of the conglomerate of the Senate. Now, if you talk about, if we actually want to break it down into who's in majority, then I would say CDC is in majority, because if you have 4 seats and you have one party have 2 seats here, another party have 1 seat there, and 1 independent over there, another party got 1 seat over there or 2 seats, CDC is in the majority if we want to go, because we have that multi-party system. You know, so CDC is in the majority. So let me finish.
No, listen, let me bring you the point.
When you're talking,
point of correction.
When you're talking, I did not interrupt you. All right, let me finish. All right, you don't make me lose my thought. So if you are saying that there is a majority there, CDC is a majority, because the fact of the matter, we have all these splinter parties. So there is no major political opposition majority at all in the Senate, and nor in the House as well. So CDC is the dominant party. If you look at it from that standpoint, they have 4 seats, and then the other parties, 1 seat there. Party C got 1 seat. Party A got 1 seat. Party, D have 1 seat. Now, the thing here is, if all these opposition were caucusing together, okay, then you can say, if the form a caucus, they come to the public and say, listen, we'll have a caucus. The independents caucusing with party A, party A is caucusing with parties B, C, all the parties caucusing together. Then you can say you have an opposition bloc. But we don't have that caucus. Now, even if the caucus with our system, they are caucusing with CDC, and that is what is happening. So CDC is still and carrying out power. They still have that big stake. They can push the legislative agenda. Chair, who is the pro tem, is a sedition. All right. So what you talking about here? You got a big stake in your hand.
Listen to this.
You can move legislation.
Mr. Doe, let me bring you back on point. Since you've been on point for a while, I see you falling off your seat. You've been so far to the left, you're falling off your seat. Let me bring you back in the middle. First of all, Unity Party has the most seats in the Senate. They got 7. Okay, it's right here. Unity Party, the former ruling party, has 7 seats. So they are the majority seats over there. Now, after this election, the second highest seat is going to go to Liberty Party with 4. They're going to tie with the ruling party. And I agree with you. Now, this is why I keep telling you about the party labeling. These folks coming here, they call themselves Unity Party, Liberty Party, or Independent Party. And then they pivot. Okay? They pivot. They come in there with this big dream of coming and making major changes and what have you. And then when time comes, you now accusing the ruling party for caucusing with these disgruntled. So what does that say about the leadership of someone like Cummings, Darius Dillon, Yori Kanga? Why is it, if they have a sense of purpose, commonality, why they cannot caucus to push an agenda, and yet they blame it on the government, blame it on the ruling party? Don't you think that with this kind of power, where you are outnumbering somebody 26-4, Don't you think that you caucus even half of the time to pass a law or write a bill, but instead everybody pointing finger at each other, say you, and at the end of the day, after 8 years or 9 years, you will return to your Senate, to the folks, and tell me I didn't do anything because the president didn't give me the chance to do so. This is what we call incompetence. I know you use that word, the opposition use that word a lot about this present government, but that is incompetence at the highest level. When your folks empower you to go to Washington or Monrovia to make a change, you speak for them. We have a representative democracy where we speak through our representatives in the Senate and in the House, and you do absolutely nothing. Then you turn around and say, I'm coming back and re-elect me, because the president didn't give me the chance to bring development, to bring school, to bring road, to bring job to my county.
Mr. Gaiman, I like the way you
are in the opposition, you
I
are
like the
now
way
going to bear. We're going to hold your feet to the fire.
I really like the way you go off point on things. Let me bring you back to the sense of reality and how the Senate work. First and foremost, you have a Senate pro tem, all right? And that's chair. Chair is from what party? He's from the CDC party. What authority or power does chair have? He has the authority and power to bring legislation on the floor or deny it from bringing on the floor. He has the power to appoint committees members, things of that nature. So if he had this humongous power, he's from the CDC party, what do you think would happen to the opposition when they bring a legislation to the Senate? Chair is going to kill it. He's not going to bring it on the floor if that legislation does not favor the government or favor the Senate some way or somehow. Or if the opposition is asking for something beyond that the government cannot provide, or correct legislation is to correct certain aspects of the government and policy, things of that nature, chair would not bring that on the floor. So what do you expect the opposition to do? Now, that's one of the reasons I am encouraging and promoting Darius DeLong to run as to be the next pro tem, because one, Darius DeLong is an activist. I can see Darius bringing a lot of legislation on the floor, legislation reforms, corruption, budget reform, those kind of things. Now, the other day, I was watching a podcast from DeLong, and DeLong mentioned that he wrote a piece of legislation, I think it was on budget reform, that has to do with salaries, and presented that to the Senate. Chair never brought that on the floor. So what do you expect for, and how do you expect for any reform or any major legislation to pass through the Senate if you have a CDC pro tem that is striking down, bills that comes before him? He will not bring it on the floor for a debate or for a hearing. The other time, Darius DeLong, and the other time I was listening to Darius DeLong, and he said in the Senate, he asked chair, he put in a request or bill for them to bring in the police director and some security apparatus, the head of the security apparatus, to explain to the Senate, why is it that these auditors were killed and yesterday there is not much been done. What did chair do? He killed that also. So what are you talking about, Jerome? You rather do how the Senate operate. It's not just discussing.
Let us not dwell.
Who's head in the Senate?
Let us not dwell on this, because again, you are off point. It is very simple. Our chair just did not get up and become Senate pro tem. He was elected by his peers, and those peers, he had only 4 seats as a CDC, actually 3 for himself. Somebody else voted for him to become a Senate pro tem. So the opposition voted for him to become Senate pro tem. So again, you cannot blame Mr. Che for not bringing legislation to the floor. Secondly, Mr. Dillon, I watched the same thing you watched. He never wrote a bill. He wrote a communication, which was maybe 100-word paper that he sent out. That's not how you write a bill. When you write a bill, bill has to be co-sponsored, okay, by other folks. Darrell Dillon was a loner. He had nobody to support him, so his bill wouldn't go even into committee. But while we are doing that, we are time is fast spent. Let's switch over to the referendum. We also had a referendum in this gone election, and from previous year, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, when Ellen and Gloria Scott and all of these folks started the referendum, they went from county to county doing something called charrette. They went in every section of Liberia and having survey, having conversation with the folks, and they agreed for this referendum. So this thing has been going on for years. But when they got to the Senate, obviously as it is in any Senate, in the House, they were able to compromise. While some people wanted 4 years for the presidency, they compromised and it came to 5. While we wanted the Senate to pair that of their colleagues in the United States 6 years, they negotiated, it went to 7 years. We were doing the presidency and so forth. So that's what negotiation does. Now that the referendum was on the table, those of us who were supporting dual citizenship from the United States, all of a sudden, some, including Darrell Dillon, who signed for the referendum, all of a sudden, because of political expediency, in the midstream of the election, he turned against the dual citizenship. He said it is bad for Liberia. So tell me, what do you understand about this referendum before I come to the results, county by county?
Well, before I talk about referendum, I just want to go quickly back to who was speaking about the Senate Pro Tem. I want to just bring in the House of Representatives too. You have both chambers. Speaker of the House of Representatives, he's doing the same thing too. He's a sedition. He's from CDC. So you have two houses, chambers, the House and the Senate, those two chambers, been ruled by sedition. How do you expect any legislation to go through that would fight corruption, that would bring budget reform, that would bring good policies? If these two people do not bring those legislation on the floor. For instance, Colbert have, I think, produced a bill in the House of Representatives, and Chambers, they never brought it to the floor. So what are you saying here? Yes, I understand they were elected by their peers. That's the rules in both chambers. That's the rules. They have to be elected by their peers. But you have a mandate. You have a leadership. You are the leader, and you want to do something right. You want to leave a legacy, not only for yourself but for the country. So if there is any kind of good bill, bring it to the floor. Let your peers debate it. Well, but don't knock it down.
Mr.
Now let me move on to the referendum. Then you can answer that. Okay. Now, first and foremost, to me, the referendum has some good points. I like the dual citizen aspect of it. It's overdue, but the reducing of time spent in office, to me, did not go too far. What Liberia needs now is term limits. We need term limits for the House of Representatives. We need term limits for the Senate. The same way we have term limits for the presidency, we need to have term limits for those two chambers. You can have the House of Representatives there for 7 years, then reduced by 1 year, and there's no term limits. You can have the Senate there for 9 years, then reduced by 8 years, but there's no term limits. Okay, so the point here is you can have somebody in there for 9 years as a senator, and he goes back for another 9 years, with the kind of salary they're making too, you're creating a millionaire. You know, want fresh ideas. If you don't perform, you're there for term limits. 1 term, you're out. Or 2 terms, you're out. We make the term, this time of service shorter for Senate, maybe 4 years. You know, for House of Representatives, 2 years. You can go 2 terms, you're done. Or maybe 1 term, if you're not, 1 term, so that we can have fresh blood coming in. At the point we are now in Liberia, we need to have a turnaround, a quick turnaround. Okay, we can't be having the same people cycling in as lawmakers, and getting the same results. And secondly, too, if you have people recycling in the Senate, it gave the chance of the new breed to come in there and say, you know what, I got to perform because I want to leave a legacy. I want when I leave from here, I write a bill, they stay here, I can say, yes, I look up to that and say, yeah, I did that for my country. Or a particular bill carry my name or something of that nature. So you push people to perform. But if you reduce it by 1 year and you don't address the term limits issue, we're not going nowhere. That's not a solution. And then also too, you reduce the president term, and service, but you never touch Article 91. I think Article 91 and Article 93, one of them, I can't recall. That addresses the president term limit. Now, if you're going to reduce the president years in office, you got to address that because they coincide with each other. All right? President served, wait. The president served for 6 years, 2 terms. Then you reduce it to 5 years. Then what? Is he going for 2 terms or 1 term or 3 terms? We have to know. Or is he becoming a benevolent dictator? Is that the idea they're trying to create here? As Twes spoke about, that we actually become a benevolent dictator. Is that what they're heading to? So there are a lot of things that is wrong with that referendum that I'm not happy with, and Liberia should not be happy with.
Well, first of all, you know very little about the referendum. The referendum reduces the president term from 6 years to 5 years.
But I said
that's a major difference. It reduces the senator's position from 9 years to 7 years. That's a major progression. It reduces the representative term from 6 years to 5 years. That is a major progression. We also asked that our citizenship, we're talking about the progression of the Liberian people, to the sense that when we talk about progressive Liberians, by allowing Liberians to have dual citizenship, those who supported it from the beginning but are now against it because of the clause and the limitation, which is, well, you cannot become president, you cannot be vice president. This is what is robbing them very hard, because they are only interested in politics and running for office in Liberia to become senator, become president, vice president. That is there, but their actual intent was never for dual citizenship. It was to have the chance to be an American citizen and also have the ability to run for president in Liberia. Now the Liberian people were smart enough to say, well, as a Liberian, if you want your citizenship back because you want to invest, you want to make some money, you want to own property, it is all yours. But the Liberians here, and those that were supporting it, and I was surprised, those who were supporting this referendum with us said they are no longer interested because of the limitations, that they cannot run for president, they cannot be chief justice. And that, to me, that is very sinister and selfish. However, let me go to the referendum. You didn't address whether it will fail or it will pass. But for what I'm looking at now, I will give you county to county. It looks like it is passing. For instance, Grand Bass, that's a Lofa County, voted yes. Grand Cape Mount voted yes in all areas. Montserrat voted yes for referendum, with the exception of 2 areas. They voted no against citizenship, and they voted no against the Elections Commission term being shortened to pronounce results and do investigation. But they voted yes. Magibi voted yes. Grand Bassa County, my folks voted yes overwhelmingly. River South voted yes. River G voted yes. Maryland County voted yes. Bond County voted yes. One county voted no, overwhelmingly, that Bomi. The outstanding counties are Bapolu, Nimba, Jide, Grand Cru, and Sino. So as far as we are concerned, the numbers that I'm looking at here, I don't know whether we have reached the 2/3 threshold, but the numbers being looking at here is going 3-1. So most likely that's what it's going to be. So we are looking at the referendum. The Liberian people, from what we have seen for 9 counties now, they agree that we should become citizens of Liberia with limitations, which I agree with. We should have limitations to what we can do in Liberia. You can't just stay here all your life, make no contribution in Liberia, do no investment, and just go from here and say you want to be president or be chief justice. So I agree, we will take what we got to go back to our country, invest. So I support the 9 counties that have voted yes for the referendum.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree with the dual citizen limitations. I think the limitations went too far. The limitations is there to kind of bar, rightful citizens like me and you from participating in the political scene in Liberia. And that's not right. How would I invest in Liberia and do not have a fair share, a fair say in politics or in the public policy in the country? Because if I invest, the kind of politics that go on, will impact my investment. So I have to have a say in that. So I think the limitation should have been addressed in a different way. If you would grant you dual citizenship, but before that dual citizenship, before you run to become president or in any public office, you have to stay in Liberia for maybe 10 years consecutively, without no interruption. And you have to have certain properties, you have to invest, have certain properties. Those are reasonable limitations, but the constraint, the limitations they gave, you mentioned, they are unreasonable. All right, it's a constraint. You're barring us from participating in the political affairs of Liberia. It means that if we even go to Liberia and invest, and something is going on in politics, we can debate it, we can argue it, nothing of that nature, because then we are no longer a citizen, but second-class citizen. That is what they're creating. They're making us, the diaspora, to be second-class citizens. So the limitations should have been written in a different way, whereby, you give that person the opportunity to prove themselves that they are coming in there to be fair and to be part of the political system. By 1, living there for maybe 10 years, uninterrupted. 2, by investing in some property or having some sort of property, tangible property that can be, proven. So this way, you'll want to go there and say, okay, I can do the 10 years, I'll invest, and then I have that opportunity to be part of the political system. Or my children can have the opportunity to be part of the political system. So that limitation by diasporans entirely, we are now second-class citizens if that referendum passes. Now, another thing here too, if the referendum passes, it's gonna damage Liberia economy because we make up that economy. We produce more for that economy, the money that we send over there. So if we go over there, look at Ghana. Look at the way Ghana did their dual citizenship. Why did we not go and study that and find out how they did it? A Ghanaian can go to Ghana tomorrow and become president and become this and become that and be part of the political system. But the constraint they had there, they gave them opportunities. They did not buy them entirely.
Mr. Doe, you are off point. Let me bring you back. As it is, So I guess you heard what the American people say, that you spike your nose to save your face. Uh, this is what's happening. If you voted no against this referendum, you are going back to status quo. You are not getting anything in return at all. And in politics, it's about give and take. We will take this major first step, become citizens of Liberia. You can be representative, you can be senator, you can be everything except president, vice president, and Supreme Court Chief Justice. We will take that for now. You can also initiate your own referendum. Citizens can do this and remove that particular clause. But let's do one at a time. I will take my citizenship. I will take everything that I have with me to Liberia, and then later on think about running for president or being Chief Justice. But as it stands, if you say no to this referendum, we are back to status quo. You will not be citizen. You are not entitled to your property. You are not entitled to be even representative on the ground as we speak, even though they all do now and last they're done. So what I'm saying here is you have been very the naysayers have been very, very unreasonable by saying it's either or, okay? And in politics, there is no such thing as either or. It's always give and take. You have to give and take. The compromise to me from being no citizen to being citizen with restriction, I'll take that for now. So what I'm saying here is 9 counties as we stand, 9 out of 15 have voted yes for the referendum. 9 out of 15. And it's the 4 counties that are outstanding, Fano, Grand Cru, Grand Jita, Nimba, Bapulu, most likely 4 or 5 of those are going to say yes. So this thing is going to pass. You are talking about being selfish, okay? But what I'm actually saying, there's something sinister going on here. Those who are looking at power on the horizons do not want their power cut. The Cummingses of the world, the Does of the world, the Gibbons of the world, who are now going to finally get their chance to come and eat too. Those guys do not want their term cut from 7 to 5 and from 6 to 4. They don't want that. When Weah was in power, when President Weah came to power 2007, 2018, with all the popularity, everybody that were afraid were going for this referendum. But they are smelling blood now that it's almost their turn to get in there too. And now they are saying, including your man Dylan. Dylan was a proponent of the dual citizenship. All of a sudden, now he's against it. So you see the hypocrisy on the side of the opposition. There will be never a true opposition in Liberia. They are all opportunists. Now then look at parties in power, the history of political parties in power losing seats. Now you talk about Ghana. Let's go to Ghana for, we're running out of time, but let's go to Ghana briefly. The election that was just completed, the NPP, the leading party, they lost 140 seats. 140 seats. When they came to power, they won 169 seats. And the opposition, now not a combined, we are talking about one political party, okay? The NPP, the NDC, which is Mahama. Mahama alone won, his political party 140 seats. That's one political party. Now, we're not talking about combination. One political party won 140 seats. Now, let's go to Guinea. The election that just passed in Guinea. The party in power, Condi, the party won, they lost 54 seats. One political party, the main opposition, won 37 seats by itself. So the history of political party leaders, party in power, losing seat is not unique to CDC. It's not unique at all. What they are telling us in Liberia here is if we can listen, and I'm hoping that the CDCians are listening. The people want us to work together. We should not be working for party per se. We shouldn't be working for individual per se. We shouldn't be working for tribe per se. We shouldn't be working for country per se, but we should be working collectively to make sure that what affects the Liberian people are addressed. But as long as we are trying to play the blame game to gain political capital, we are going to be right back here, my friend.
Mr. Gilman, you are off point, totally off point. I'm sorry to say that. Your reference about Ghana and Guinea with those numbers does not represent what we have in Liberia. You know, Weah was the most popular president that Liberia ever had, won about 60+% of the votes. If you look at NDP or NPP in Ghana, when it came to power, their leadership was not as popular as the way Weah was. Okay, if you look at Guinea too, the leadership there that came to power, they were not as popular as what Weah was. So to compare those two is different. It's quite different comparing apples and oranges. Okay, so if these NPP lost 100 and you said 60, 140 seats, 140 seats, they came to power not having outstanding popularity. All right, so it's expected that if they don't perform well, they're going to lose a lot. All right, same as in Guinea. They came to power without much popularity. If they don't perform well, they're going to lose a lot. But if you come to Liberia and you have the most popular president in the history of Liberia that everybody loved, you know, he's an icon, a sports icon. The world knows him. You know, he's popular. He won ESP trophy. He was on national TV in America. He was ambassador, you know, for sports and all of that stuff, ambassador of peace. He was making money and all that stuff. This man is popular all over the world and became president of Liberia. And yet, he started to lose seat in the midterm election. 2023 is not even around yet. The country is trending in a negative way. That tells me that, you know, we have lost the popularity with its own people. I'm not talking about the war.
Mr. Doe?
Let me learn. When you spoke, I give you a chance. Please don't interrupt me. Okay, when you interrupt me like that, I lose my thoughts. Now, we have lost the popularity with its people. How can you regain that? Okay, how can you regain it? You know, maybe you can explain to us how can you regain it. But from what you told me, saying that, oh, they're not performing well, they're not doing this one well, it's never going to get better. It's not going to get better than what we have today. In fact, it's going to get worse.
Mr. Doe, we're running out of time here. Let's touch this real quick. There is this rumor going around from you and the distractors that there is a crack in the CDC coalition, that most likely citizens will start jumping ship. They will abandon the president. What is your take on that? Where is this gossip coming from? Do you have any numbers? Do you have any empirical evidence that we can look at? I will tell you or tell anybody that the CDC is cracking.
Well, I can't tell you for now. Those senior managers will abandon the president. I don't think so. They're going to abandon the president because first and foremost, their loyalty to the president and them also too. They are enjoying. They have all this immense finance. They have also this immense power. So they don't want to lose that. But people, the common people are the voters, people that voted. They don't want to abandon CDC party. They don't want never vote again for CDC. They don't want not voting for people like Darius DeLong, you know, things of that nature. So the fact of the matter here is that these are the people that are defecting from the CDC party. I don't see the senior managers that in CDC that have loyalty like Toy, the McGill, you know, they're not going to abandon that party. They're going to do it, and we are except we are get rid of them, you know. So I don't know where you got in our rumors from, but I'm looking at the voters, the common people that was part of CDC. You're mute. You're mute.
I'm glad that we are putting this to rest because, as usual, Those of you in the opposition, you come up with these outrageous lies and innuendos. And I'm glad that somebody from that camp to say that they don't see this happening. But when you talk about popularity, popularity has to translate into numbers. When at the height of Weah's popularity, as you claim, when he came to power, the most seats that they won in the Senate was 4. So that has nothing to do with what's happening on the ground. Now, when you were talking about other political parties in other countries, I'm trying to educate seats. Barack Obama was the most popular president in the United States. At one time, he was like a rock star. And what did he do? He used the word shellac. He was beaten like you never know, like he stole something. Or he lost both houses, the House and the Senate. So we are talking about numbers. Popularity is something else, performance, and the reality of the global economy also has to do with what we are talking about, plus other underlying issues. In Liberia, in this country, it was usually race that people didn't want to talk about, but we all knew had a major part to play in what's happening in this country. It doesn't matter who is the president, the power lies within the hands of the majority, which are Caucasian folks who have special interest. So, something similar is going on in Liberia, where the old order, those who have run the country for the past 200 years, that believe that they are the elitists and that they are entitled to running the country. And that is something that we have not talked about, that nobody wants to talk about, why they are now coalescing around Darius Dillon, and they erected a fort that you can win any other county. They really didn't care as long as you didn't win Montserrat. And the underlying issues there we do not want to talk about. There is a class system in Liberia that we have to discuss. Some of us were victims of that class system. Some of us benefited from that class system. And those issues have to be addressed if Liberia is going to move forward.
Mr.
And
Gaiman?
I know for the fact that the rumor that was coming out that there is a crack or possible crack within the coalition of democratic change is not true. You misunderstood the word CDC. CDC is not Congress for Democratic Change. CDC is actually the coalition of democratic change. So they pivoted from a one-party system to a several-party system that merged something that the CPP have not done. They have not merged the Liberty Party, the Unity Party, and all of those parties have not merged to come up with a name and a true identity. That has not happened. So there's a big difference. There is a major difference. So the popularity of a president has to translate into votes in the Senate and the House.
Mr. Gaiman,
let me go. Argument, sir. Yeah, we are running out of time.
I know I got to make one comment. Let me go back to the Barack Obama issue that you raised, the Shema. Do you know why Barack used the Shema, that terminology? I don't think so. When
because he was hope. They hope his party. He lost everything. They got beaten everywhere.
Look, there's a reason you use that in that way. When Barack lost, in the midterm, his second year in office, he lost because of Trump. When Trump started that birthright, that birther, thing, label him that he was not born yet. He was not a true citizen. And raise the issue of him being a black man and things of that nature. So the country, those people, the white men, he still have that racist idea. So they wanted to definitely make sure he doesn't have the power that he should have if to say the Democrat, was heading both houses, both chambers. So therefore, the rally, and that's why he lost in the midterm big time. So that was the reason. It's not anything else, unlike what you're trying to compare that with Weah. We're talking about, not that kind of politics that exists in Liberia. Weah had the popularity. he did not use it well. And perhaps he did not use it well because he did not understand what he had in his hand. And the people around him did not make him to understand what he had in his hand. So he performed very well. You can start your closing argument out and I'll end it.
Well, Mr. Doe, thank you. I want to say thank you to Focus on Liberia for giving us the opportunity to express our feelings and address issues of concern to the Liberians here and abroad. We want to thank our audience. We want to thank those who sent in comments. We want to thank those who have been loyal to our show. Send us your suggestions as to how we can make our show better. We are learning, but we have one thing in common. It's Liberia. The election is over. We now have to go back to our constituencies, look at what we have done right in the past 8-9 years, look at what we have done wrong. Based on these results, Liberians are not satisfied. We are not doing something right. We may have done some things that are good, but it's not good enough. We are talking about major issues, university tuition, wired fee, building roads, building market, doing those things that are infrastructurally sound. But the Liberian people are talking to us. Yes, they appreciate those things. But like they say in the old days, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. We need to build the roads to connect our counties to open the economy. We also have to create opportunities for young folks to be employed. We have to partner with our international communities to create jobs for the young folks. What a true vocational training. I know there have been a lot of vocational training going on, but it makes no sense or make little sense for someone to be vocationally trained and cannot find a job. So we have to expand the economy by asking our international partners to help in creating jobs. Government cannot hire everybody, but we need to create the infrastructure where folks can actually go and expand the economy in the private sector. So we are asking the government, the Liberian people appreciate what you have done and what you continue to do, but they are expecting a lot more. Like they say, it's all about what daddy is bringing home at the end of the day. If daddies are sitting around and their children are hungry, you can pay the tuition, you can build the roads, you can build the school, they will still complain. So I'm telling my folks, I'm appealing to the administration, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Thank you very much, Mr. Doe, for being a capable partner, and hopefully we can do this next week.
Yes, Mr. Gilman, thank you very much too. I just have one or two things to say, then we can close it. Mr. Gilman, my closing argument is this, simple and sweet. You know, you mentioned about infrastructure and things of that nature. Yes, in your closing argument. I just want to rebut that quickly before we move on. Look, it's simple, Mr. Gilman. You know, Ellen government started initiated the FDR, whereby investments were coming in the country. When our government came to power, they cut that off. There's no investors coming in the country again. I don't know why. They're not, competing for investors. They're not attracting investors, things of that nature. So there is something wrong with this government that it cannot create jobs. They will not be able to create jobs because they're not looking to create jobs. All they are looking for is handout, money. For instance, the money from the coronavirus. What happened to the money? They haven't distributed any rights yet. They pocket it. They distribute it among themselves. So the fact of the matter here is that this government is performing poorly. And I tell you, there is nothing you can appeal to this government or you want to appeal to. They will not change. 2023, we are got to go. And he knows it. He can feel it coming. He knows it. He knows he cannot do better, any better than what he's doing right now because he does not have the means. He does not understand government. He's not learning to understand government. He does not want to learn to understand government. So therefore, he is a failure. He's already failed, and he's not going to do anything better than what it is now. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse. So, Mr. Gilman, you are not on point on your closing argument on this about infrastructure and job creation. It's not going to happen under this government. Thank you.
As usual, we are all Liberians. We may have different views, but we are Liberians and we love our country. And we'll turn it over to our folks, our engineers in the radio land. We want to thank you, and hopefully we'll see you before the new year.
All right.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. We are